Happy holidays from all of us at Coast and our Panda Express family. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and we know you're busy snagging gifts for your loved ones. Why not add a dash of flavor to your shopping spree? Grab some Panda to go. It's not just a meal, it's a ritual that adds a touch of joy to your holiday adventures. So however you Panda, make it part of your holiday routine. Order yours today. Visit pandaexpress.com or download the app to find a location near you. Panda Express, bringing flavor to your festivities. Because however you Panda, we got you covered.
Filled with ad-free music made for everything you do, mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
Remembering unforgettable beats. Stick pimpin', baby. The iconic rap verses.
Cause that's what I'm monster do.
The artists who shaped the culture.
I know in there,
Flex your musical muscles. A new channel. Feature hip-hop from the 2000s. In the 2010s.
Be humble. Holla, sit down.
On Flex 2K. Now, Sirius XM Channel 49 in the Sirius XM app. Included in all trials and popular plans.
Imagine a long road trip where the designated DJ isn't forced to flip from station to station, avoiding commercials and trying desperately to find a signal, where you're not forced to resort to endless rounds of the license plate game to kill time. Stop imagining and start listening to commercial-free music from nearly every genre, coast to coast. Subscribe to SiriusXM and your music stays with you wherever you hit the interstate or take the back roads. Call 844-711-8800 to activate your radio now.
Sirius XM Comedy exclusive presentation.
Everyone's asking me why I would sign up for this.
The OnlyFans roast of Whitney Cummings.
I'm a female comedian, okay?
Only on Sirius XM Comedy with Jim Norton, Annie Leonard, Bob the Drag Queen, Donnell Rawlings, and more.
Female comedians are American heroes, all right?
All this week on Sirius XM Comedy Greats, Raw Comedy, and She's So Funny.
Uncensored comedy is not dead. It's just a new
Listen anytime on the Sirius XM app.
I love this podcast.
There you go now.
I think everything.
Oh, that's it. There you go now.
I think everything.
Oh, that's it.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. Lexington is 018-14868.
Led by Scott Farrell, are analyzing the lines and odds for every game and updating the latest player props and team win totals.
Their quarterback situation is an absolute mess. With a win total of 9.5, I'm hammering the under.
Become a better with Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM Channel 159.
To hear Sports Grid Radio on Sirius XM, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visiting SiriusXM.com/go.
Durando Deportes, Bonjour, Vini Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Jonathan of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. According to me and people who love the universe, What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my $1 million neighbor? Shut up! You know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry, but as I said many times before, I've been nominated to be the neighborhood spokesperson. But sometimes people don't like when I bring the people together at 3 o'clock in the morning. But you don't have to worry about what time it is. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe. And 4 TV platforms streaming worldwide. You can follow us on Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast. I'm telling you, TuneIn Podcast, Good Pods Podcast, Amazon Podcast. You know, there's a podcast called iHeartRadio Podcast. You can follow me. I'm very happy today. You can also follow Big C Sports Podcast and Castbox. These are podcasts. Podcast Addict, Podchaser. You can find us on Geosavon Podcast out of London, England, as well as India and Africa. Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, WePod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbean, Podcast Prodigy, Podcast Republic, Verbal Podcast. I'm telling you, sometimes I forget what's podcast. But what I won't forget is allthings.ai, because the robots are taking over. Give robots some praise, especially when they're mining for gold in them their hills. You can also follow Business Sports Podcast streaming OTT on 4 TV platforms all over the universe: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And I want to say, give that some praise. We love giving that praise. You know, I love also paying homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. If you know anybody going through issues, especially veterans, pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give us some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. We all do. It's nice when somebody's leaning back, and that's why I love giving that praise. I want to also tell you what I love near and dear about Big C Sports is I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then he said, let there be light. And let the light shine bright, if that makes sense to you. I want to tell you what you get that some praise. I want to also tell you what I love about doing Big C Sports Podcast is, number 1, I produce the show. Number 2, I direct the topics. Number 3, I broadcast all the shows. Number 4, I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter. Use more laughter. Number 4, the commercials are done. Number 6, the stats are provided. They say facts tell and stories sell. And I'm going to tell you also that I do the storytelling. I do the play-by-play up to the line of scrimmage, 49 and 50-yard lines, 4 wideouts, 5 men front by the Seahawks. Purdy with the snap rolling to his right, back to pass. He throws downfield. It is caught for the touchdown. Touchdown, Niners. Debo Samuel, 50 yards. You know, that's what you're going to hear on Sunday in Denver Hills in California. All fair and Leavenworth War. And then, as I tell you, the show's uploaded to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City. And I've been in Denver Hills, California. And then, number 10, I never missed a show since starting back at Salem Media. Never missed a show with Big C Sports Podcast. You got to give that praise. And I'm telling you, they even handle the stream, as I mentioned, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. What I also love about Big C Sports is they say if you know where you come from, maybe you respect your roots a little better. I come from a great line of family legacy that says, rise and shine. I'm going to do this first. I'm also going to get into some Thursday night football. We have the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm gonna talk about that. Give that some praise. It might be the biggest praise they get, because both teams don't like to score a lot of points. And in fact, they're having a hard time struggling. But I do get the Steelers winning that game, even though I'll get into that too. But I want to make sure that I pay homage to where I come from, my family legacy. On my beautiful mother's side, my great-grandmother called her a mama, a beautiful, loving, kind woman, always making sure lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly. And then I'm telling you, just really do appreciate her. Then my great-granddaddy called him Pop, former military man and former Negro League baseball player, known around his church buddies as making the best moonshine in the history of the universe. And was saying, boys, get out of that barn. Didn't I tell you to measure twice and hammer once? We had to do a fence one time, and you know how boys are. We hammered twice and measured once. We had to redo that fence. It was like 10 feet short. All the hogs could get out. Really do appreciate Pop the real MacGyver. Could fix everything, planes, trains, and automobiles. And then my beautiful grandmother, Muddy, a beautiful, loving, kind woman. She was a seer. Oftentimes could look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, present, and their future. She still helps me to this day. Just an amazing woman. Now they call them psychics, and that makes sense to you. Then my beautiful grandfather, Hezekiah, another wonderful person, a seer, could oftentimes look at a person, tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and then coached an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Give mama some praise. I said give her praise. A Head Start program, a food program, and then coached an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. The first woman to do that in Denver Hills, California, in my neck of the woods. Love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always saying, rise and shine. In fact, at the church, everybody loved Mrs. Curry's cooking. At a restaurant, everybody loved Mrs. Curry's cooking. At home, everybody loved Mama's cooking. Oftentimes she says, son, how many plates you had? I said, plates of baby crap that I'm looking for, Mama. I'm looking for my reparations. I'm in a particularly good mood today. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then, always say I rise and shine. On my father's side, my grandfather, Albert Curry, a pastor. He had 3 churches. He owned 2 gas stations in Oakland, one on Bancroft, the other on Foothill. But it was 40 acres of land that he owned that I'm really am proud of, like Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass when they crafted the Emancipation Proclamation. Every free black person was supposed to get 40 acres and a mule. Unfortunately, when President Lincoln was assassinated, President Andrew Johnson came along and he vetoed the bill. And he gave the land back to the Southern Confederacy. He gave it back to the people who lost the war. Manhattan strike. And they never gave it back. But they're about to give it back now. Really do appreciate my granddaddy. Then my beautiful grandmother, Alberta Curry, working side by side with my granddaddy with the 2 churches in Oakland. And then building the 3rd church in Central California. Also helping with the 2 gas stations that they own in Oakland. And then I was 8 years old walking through a hallway. It was about 10 o'clock at night. And I was tiptoeing through the tulips. And I felt the hand touch me on my forehead. And she said, what are you doing, young man? Are you going to get some more cookies? I said, what are you doing up, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, what are you doing? Going to get some more cookies? I said, cookies and baby crap to what I'm doing, Grandma. I'm going to get my reparations. And a couple of cookies would hurt. They went a long time. But she said, there's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. And now I'm on 29 podcast platforms and streaming on 4 TV platforms. Really do appreciate her. And then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that airplanes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. In fact, my father's the first one to tell me about the SR-71 Blackbird. It can fly from Los Angeles, California to Washington, D.C. in 1 hour and 8 minutes. Like lightning. And that's fast. Really do appreciate my dad. Love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. And then my beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice. Sound like thunder and lightning when Todd was speaking. Always saying go forward. A voracious reader. Just love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. I'm telling you, college graduate, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years from a major university. And Daisy helped me set up the very first interview for Big C Sports back at Salem Media. It became the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. It had never happened before. until two black men in the crew started doing our thing and rising and shining, and then shenanigans set in and it went away. But I'm still standing. What did Two Live Crew sing? They said, I'm still standing better than I ever did. Looking like a movie star. Feeling like a little kid. That's not Two Live Crew. That's Elton John. Oh. Well, you understand they both have the same feeling in mind. But really do appreciate Daisy. You can be anything you want to be, Daisy. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. She would also help me set up when college coaches would come to the West Coast and do work with Big C Sports. And then I'm just telling you, I'm so proud of you, Daisy. You can be so much. You're just an amazing person. Always remember, trust God, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. Not one, if that makes sense to you. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College senior, very smart, erudite, a good man. Malcolm, you could be anything you want to be. Malcolm actually helped me save trees. I used to always go through newspapers, looking up stats for athletes and teams on the Big C Sports podcast. And one day, Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since, now on over 29 platforms and streaming on 4 TV platforms. As I tell you, one day Malcolm said, Dad, do you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports, and you'll see your show pop up. That's before it was even on the air. Shortly after that, you can find Big C Sports Podcast streaming on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. You got to give that some praise. He spoke it into existence. And I'm speaking $100 million into existence. I'm saying $100 million into existence. Big C Sports is going to become a $1 billion company. You mark my words. BET did it. Bob Johnson did it. He didn't have $15,000 to his name when he lost BET. Okay? I just want to tell you, give God praise. Always give God praise. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. Always trust God, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, always saying you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe, saying let's get ready to rumble. I love saying welcome to the show. ESPY nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no 3-way teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. I do my show with my higher self and my own research. And I trust God. You got to give that some praise. Everybody has their own style. I do the best I can. And there's enough for 29 platforms. And then streaming on 4 TV platforms. I love giving that praise if that makes sense to you. I want to tell you so. You know, I'm the #1 sports podcaster in the universe. That honors President Abraham Lincoln and his desire for reparations. Just because he's gone, it doesn't mean that his dream died with him. At the same time, I want to tell you who Big C Sports is. I've been featured in NBC News. NBC News, that's a good company. CBS News, CBS News, that's a good company. ABC News, yeah, ABC News, that's a good company. Fox News, yeah, Fox News. Well, they did lose $1 billion lawsuit, but it's still a good company. They just got to clean some of the dirt out. The dirt always comes out in the wash, if that makes sense to you. And then the Associated Press, Janie Hard, just to know more about Big C Sports and why it blends politics and sports together, because it's all politics, especially when you do sports in Texas. It's all politics in Texas. At the same time, the Associated Press, on March 29th, 2023, they called me. I got a call, ring, ring. Hello. Hi, is this Charlton Curry? Yes, it is. How can I help you? Hi, this is Janie Hard, the Associated Press. I said, how'd you get my number? She said, we have our ways. I said, okay, well, what made you call? She said, I heard you speak at a reparations rally. I said, okay. And she said, I want to get your thoughts on reparations. I said, if you heard me speak, you know my thoughts on reparations. Just like President Abraham Lincoln, I say reparations now, reparations forever. And that's a true story. And then she wrote an article on Big C Sports. And it appeared in CBS News, also NBC News, Fox News, ABC News. It's important. But I love giving credit where credit's due. And I want to also say that I'm the only sports podcaster in the universe that pushes reparations. And I want to praise praised California Governor Gavin Newsom for mandating the task force. And the task force had its 16th meeting back on June 29th, 2023, 9 o'clock a.m. at the Secretary of State building in Them Hills, California. That's important for me to say because you got to give that some praise. I'm telling you, California is leading the way in reparations for descendants of child slavery. So my show is not just about who won a game and is somebody going to score a lot of points tonight. I want to make sure that everybody wins, especially descendants of child slavery known as African Americans. Give that some praise because I am one of them. But I also got some Native American blood running through me too. I found there's a good reason for that. Oh, Fred level one. But I'm the only person, news or sports, in the universe. I want to honor the California Reparations Task Force. The 16th meeting was held at the Secretary of State building of California. And Shirley Weber, she's the one that helped call together all the politicians that made it possible. But President Abraham Lincoln, he was America's 16th president. And they have 16 meetings. I'm telling you, reparations will happen before the next election. It's going to be signed by executive order through President Joe Biden. And you got to give that praise. And everybody knows it's necessary. Just like our Jewish brethren, they get reparations for Holocaust heirs. They're going to do the same things for descendants of child slavery. I want to thank Camila Moore. She's a chairperson and attorney. She specializes in reparative justice. And I want to give her praise. She's brilliant. I want to give praise to Dr. Emmett C. Brown. He's the vice chair. I want to give him praise. He's brilliant. I want to give praise to the #1 senator in the United States of America. That's California Senator Stephen Baffert. I met with him and talked with him. Going to have another meeting coming up with him soon with the National Black Wall Street Project. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. He's also responsible for name, image, and likeness that helps college athletes finally get paid where the schools don't steal all the money. Now they get money. He also helps sponsor the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement find young black children when they go missing, like the Amber Alert helps find white kids. I'm telling you, with name, image, and likeness, college kids cannot get paid on the name, image, and likeness. We'll be meeting with Senator Bradford soon. Also, I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Council Member Monica Montgomery Steppe. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Cheryl Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis. He's a professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Donald K. Tamaki. He's brilliant. Part of the California Reparations Task Force. Love giving all the praise because they say a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I want to thank This Is CNN, proud sponsor of the Big C Sports. I love giving them praise. Also, I want to thank PNC Project X, proud sponsor of the Big C Sports. I need $6 million. And I'm not sure I can drive it. I want to thank T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. Give them some praise if that makes sense to you. Well, be that as it may, I love talking about things that matter for descendants of child of slavery. And long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away, there was a thing called Freedman's Bank. What? Freedman's Bank? Yes, Freedman's Bank. And Freedman's Bank, it was United States Bank. It was chartered by the United States Congress. You got to know the history of it. March 3rd, 1865, to provide a place for former slaves to safely store their money. You know, like the money you have in your bank. After several successful years in which Freedman deposited more than $57 million in the bank, it collapsed in 1874 as a result of mismanagement and fraud. The bank not only robbed many black Americans of all they had, their entire life savings, but it also left a severe psychological impact on them, causing many to give up hopes and dreams that went along with their savings. You know, sometimes you just got to hear somebody's voice. If you could just hear the sound of somebody's voice, like an angel talking to you, and God saying, follow this angel. It became evident there was a need for freed black Americans to become able to put money in the banks. It was evident during the American Civil War when President Lincoln offered black men 40 acres and a mule for helping defeat the Southern Confederates, known as the Civil War. When President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, President Andrew Johnson, he came along and he vetoed the bill. What? Yeah, he vetoed the bill. You know, not one president has had the decency to honor what President Abraham Lincoln, what he put in line for the race of people that helped win the Civil War. And that's black Americans. You can Google it. And you got to understand, there were a board of 10 white trustees that were appointed over a black-owned bank that Congress mandated to manage the bank's affairs. And they stole the money! And Congress never gave it back. Only a few got the money back. They had 30 branches, over a dozen states, and they were expanding. With compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world, it would have been several $1 billion in deposits. And some estimates over 1.4 trillion, which explains the wealth gap between white and black citizens in the United States. The Kerner Commission talked about that. There's a book called The Color of Law called Black Codes and Pig Laws, how the government, it crushed every black hope and dream they had financially in the United States of America after helping win the Civil War. That's horrible. But you got to understand, Dr. Martin Luther King, and people love Dr. Martin Luther King now that he's been assassinated, he said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And often you find the only people that have not gotten reparations is just us. But that's going to change. And you got to get that some praise. You don't find us in other questions that are second and driving. Because I want to finish saying this before I get into some sports. Which too many people of us are drunk in love in sports and who's going to win a game. Not one of those teams could pay their players if they didn't have money to pay them. And slaves had to work from cradle to grave. From cradle to grave! And never got money. Never. No life insurance, no pension, no workers' comp, no retirement plans. They got nothing. You got to understand this. The collapse of Freedmen's Bank was devastating to thousands of African Americans. However, the records left behind by the bank have paved an invaluable source for genealogists. The records are the largest single source of lineage-linked African American records known to exist in mankind. That's what I'm saying. Reparations are doing, and reparations are coming. And you got to give that praise. Now, the rest of the story. I want to tell you that's what I love about doing Big C Sports. I also want to thank because I give credit where credit is due. And I want to give praise to a lot of individuals that help make things possible in the world of reparations. You got to Google everything I'm saying. If you can't Google what I tell you, don't believe me. Because that's important. The power of Google is so important in helping people find what was once lost, like a lost and found at an airport, or a lost and found at a bus terminal, or lost and found in a library or a school. I want to thank Double O, the executive. She's a part of the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project that's put together by the president and CEO, the inimitable Reverend Tony Pierce. But she sent me Executive Order 13985 on further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That's the White House. That was President Joe Biden's first order, an executive order on further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. You got to know that. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered as follows. On my first day in office, I signed Executive Order 13985, January 20, 2021, advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government, which charged the federal government with advancing equity for all, including communities that have long been underserved, and addressing systemic racism in our nation's policies and programs. By advancing equity, the federal government can support and empower all Americans. including those that have been underserved. You got to give that some praise. That's more important than touchdown, home run, 3-point play. Old man Willie, he's going all the way. Also, I want to give praise to Senator Marco Rubio and Rick Scott of Florida. They reintroduced a bill to restore Holocaust survivors' rights to the Congress. That's important. I want to thank Georgetown University because they also pledged over $1 billion in reparations to 272 families that are descendants of child slavery. They were sold to help build Georgetown. As horrible as that was. You know, sometimes you got to go pick up your children. Imagine if you go to pick up your children and the school administrator says, I'm sorry, but your child has been sold. What? Sold? Yeah, sold. Because that's a story of millions of black Americans. And it was done with impunity. How dare you say we don't deserve reparations? I want to thank Double O, part of the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She sent me this article called, it was by the United Nations. It said that strong leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for people of African descent. You got to give that some praise. A lot of people don't even know that. But that's important. President Joe Biden is also back studying reparations. Is in Congress right now. Over 172 sponsors of reparations have endorsed Representative Sheila Jackson Lee H.R. 40. It's a reparations bill. And President Joe Biden is ready to sign it. We just need 2/3 vote. That's my story and I'm sticking with it. Well, as we stand up for the kickoff, I know some people just want to watch sports and that's why it's taking too long. But I'm going to be the one that stands up and says, reparations now, reparations forever. I'm going to always honor President Abraham Lincoln. I got one more announcement to make for those of you out looking for work. We know the real estate industry has been hit hard. The insurance industry has been hit hard. But there's help on the way. There's light at the end of the tunnel. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. Call 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. All you need, we have a business loan alternative for you real estate agents and brokers and loan and insurance companies. We have a business loan alternative company. We can approve in less than an hour. And with same-day funding, items needed to qualify, 4 months bank statements, 5,000 minimum monthly revenue, 6 months in business. You got to understand that. We specialize in unsecured working capital up to $5 million. No collateral. Early payoff discounts. We can fund as little as in 1 day. How do you get that, Big C? You call 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624 and tell them Big C sent you. Well, that's my story and I'm sticking with it. My goal is to connect people in all 50 states to help get people back to work again. We got to do that. I had a great meeting about that today. I want to get into some things that are tonight. What did Two Live Crew say in the movie Dumb and Dumber? He said, tonight's the night. It's going to be all right. That wasn't Two Live Crew. I think, who sang that? I forgot the name of the group that said, I think it was Rod Stewart that sang tonight's the night. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right when you follow Big C Sports Podcast because I'm not shucking and jiving and I'm not just talking sports, but we got a football game tonight, if that's what you want to call it. Two of the greatest franchises in the history of the NFL with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. Two teams struggling to put points on the board. They're going to meet tonight. Kickoff already has happened as the Pittsburgh Steelers, they host the New England Patriots. And it's week 14 of the 2023 schedule. The Steelers are 7-5. And they have the top wild card spot in the AFC picture, despite ranking 28th in the league in scoring with an average of 16 points a game. Now, New England, who would have thought that Tom Brady had this much effect on them? They're now 2-10, and they ended with a 5-game losing streak, and they score an NFL low 12.3 points per game. And that's horrible. I mean, you got to look at that team. That's Bill Belichick's team. They're kicked off at Acrisure Stadium at 8:15 p.m. East Coast time. And the Steelers are a 6-point favorite. And the point total they're saying is 30. but I don't know how it could get to even 30. I got the Steelers winning that 21-10. I think they'll both get more than a touchdown and a field goal, but I gotta get that out of my mind because I'm not used to seeing the Patriots struggle so much since the Tuck Rule when they robbed the Raiders back in the Tuck Rule. But they robbed the Raiders, but they went on a winning streak, and now they've won 6 Super Bowls since the Tuck Rule. But at the same time, everybody has their own favorites of what sports team is going to win a game. But the Steelers and the Patriots, give them praise for showing up because it's NFL football. They're all getting paid, even though many people in Las Vegas are not expecting the best game. I want to get you to my thoughts on Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Give that some praise. It's already here, week 14. In Big C's NFL Power Rankings, I told you when I started the season, I had the 49ers picked to win Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, Nevada. And things have not changed. As long as they're healthy, I think they're as good as any team out there. But any given Sunday, the great Al Pacino told us about that. Any team can win on any given Sunday. But I'm going to give you my thoughts on Big C's NFL Power Rankings. It's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go with number 10 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. We got a feeling the Steelers are not going to the Super Bowl. At the same time, there have been a number of stretches where you got to wonder, is a team going to get to the highest level of competition? Well, the Steelers are a playoff team. They've never had a losing season under Mike Tomlin going on 16 seasons. Whether they get in this year, it's about how healthy they stay. Tonight, I'm telling you, they had a shocking loss to Arizona, but they're going to bounce back with a win over the New England Patriots. The Steelers will be without starting quarterback Kenny Pickett for tonight's game. He was knocked out of the second quarter Sunday with an ankle injury. At the same time, they have a new play caller, Mike Sullivan, strong first outing the week before. He's also going to play fairly well tonight against the good old boys from New England. So Tomlin now, his team is 7-5. I think they'll be 8-5 after this game. You got to look at the Steelers, a team that plays a very physical brand of football, and I think they'll get that win over the good old boys from Clam Chowder Country tonight. I got number 9 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. When you think about Texas, what do they say? What did Johnny Cash sing? The stars shine bright, deep in the night, deep in the heart of Texas. That wasn't Johnny Cash. Well, you could understand if Johnny Cash would have sang a song like that. But I look at the Houston Texans, and Tank Dell had a season-ending injury. Jamie Ward's game-clinching final minute end-zone interception. One of Houston's 3 critical picks Sundays clinched yet another dramatic victory. DeMeco Ryans, the head coach, has really turned this team around. Also, the Texans have become known as a favorite maybe to win their division. They're going to down to the wire with Jacksonville, in my opinion. And then the past 5 wins all came down to the wire in one-score games. So they pulled out some more close games than we expect to see over the last couple of years. And when you think about DeMeco Ryans, he's become among the favorites to be nominated for Coach of the Year. I know you'd love to see a better offense. They're 4 of 16 on third downs, but they do have a great quarterback, a rookie quarterback, as C.J. Stroud out of Rancho Cucamonga High School in Southern California, and then Ohio State. That good boy is playing good football this year, and I got the good boys at Houston. The Texans, number 9 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, number 8 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. You can give that some praise. I got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're 8-4. You can't knock them. Also, I want to say Houston's 7-5. And then I told you earlier the Steelers are 7-5. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, this is a team that was rolling until the 49ers from Dimdale Hills came to town. But Jacksonville, they entered Monday night's game with a chance to move into the AFC's number 1 playoff seed. They left with a shocking loss to Jake Browning, who threw 91 touchdowns as a senior at Folsom High School in Folsom, California. Folsom named after African Americans. But Folsom High School back in the day, he led that team to a state championship. He threw 91 touchdown passes. He also went to the University of Washington, and he led the Washington Huskies to the college BCS playoff berth, where they lost to Alabama. But when he was at high school at Folsom, he rarely played the fourth quarter. And he still threw 91 touchdown passes with their airstrike offense. And now he's doing his thing in Cincinnati for the Bengals. And when you think about what he's been able to do, they named him Player of the Week. It's amazing. The Bengals offense is perfect for Jake Browning. Their season was in question with injuries to Trevor Lawrence, the ankle injury, and then wide receiver Christian Kirk with the groin. But several other, I'm telling you, there's so many great players that put you on the plane they put you on the radar. And Browning, what he did to Jacksonville is put him on the radar. But for Jacksonville, there are several Jaguars that are banged up, and they got to get better. That's why I think Houston has a chance. And when you think about a team that dropped to 2-4 this season, all hopes is not suddenly lost, but the Jaguars have to sweat it out another short week with Lawrence on injury worry. You gotta keep them healthy. I'm telling you, that's a team that right there, if they keep Lawrence healthy, I think they can edge out Houston. They split their games, but if they can't keep him healthy, then you got to go with Houston winning that division. I got number 7 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. The Detroit Bad Boys, also known as the Detroit Lions. They have their best record through a dozen games since 1962. And they've had to trip over about 14 weeks between now and week 18 to miss the playoffs. There's an excellent chance the Motor City will be having a playoff team in the Detroit Lions. They'll be hosting a postseason game. They're not out of the race for the number 1 seed, but I'm telling you, in Detroit, they're not used to being in this spot because the Lions have insisted on making the journey more stressful than it needs to be. Coughing up multiple scoring leads and against the Chargers, and the Saints barely coming back to beat the Bears and opening the door for the Packers to come steal the NFC North. But I think the Lions will get that growl back in them, if that makes sense to you, and I think they'll pull it out. They had a game at New Orleans with no turnovers after committing a combined 7 in the previous 2 games, but the defense remains the concern and falling apart in the second half on Sunday despite knocking Derek Carr of the Saints out of the game. I still like the Lions. They're a very physical team. I think they'll get their groove back, and I got them number 7 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I got number 6 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Now, some people don't believe that I'm making much sense when I say this, but I got number 6. I got the Miami Dolphins. When you think about it, Jalen Phillips had an injury against the Commanders. They're 1-for-1 in that department with a mostly dominant defensive showing on the road. Their 45-15 win over Washington came without a cost to a lot of their rankings, but it came with a cost to linebacker Jerome Baker, who's played a sneaky big role on the Miami defense, that no-name defense from the 72 Dolphins no longer there. But the injuries were not restricted to the defensive side of the ball. Offensive tackle Taron Armstead and offensive guard Robert Hunt both leaving the game and exposing the offensive line. The Dolphins have proven themselves this season against the low-rung teams in the NFL, but in week 16 through 18, they must show it against Dallas, against Baltimore, and Buffalo. Right now, Miami's sitting pretty good at 9-3, but they got a tough slate coming to them. I still have them number 7 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I got number 6 in Big C's. I got number 6 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I gotta put them there. It's kind of neck and neck, but the Chiefs beat the Dolphins across the pond. So I'm going to put this Chiefs. I got to put the Chiefs at number 5, barely. But when you think about touchdown Patrick Mahomes, how did they lose to Green Bay? Las Vegas knew something. Sunday night, Mahomes was throwing some funny-looking passes, and the defense was getting the business by the Green Bay Packers. A few games now, Steve Spagnuolo's unit has put Kansas City in a 2-score hole early, and that's the struggling offense to bail the team out. It worked against the Raiders, but not against Green Bay. There's something about this team that they don't like to win big. They averaged 6.3 yards per carry in the first half, 5.7 in the second half. Isaiah Pacheco was the best performer on the Chiefs when touchdown Patrick Mahomes was off with Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce got to stay in his groove. I know there's all this talk about who he's dating. Who cares about who you're dating? When you're on the field, you play to win the game. They got to focus on playing to win the game before he gets a swift kick in the backside, if that makes sense to you. No, a swift kick in the backside. No problem. But I'm telling you, the Chiefs, they got to stay healthy. Mahomes has to play much better down the stretch, but I still put them at Big C's number 5 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I'm going to go with number 4 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. How about those Cowboys? The Dallas Cowboys, since the loss to Philadelphia, the Cowboys are going 4-0. winning the first 3 of those games by averaging 30 points. This past Thursday, it was a great win. Dallas never panicked despite Seattle leading much of the second half. It's a testament to how dangerous the Cowboys' offense has become. Even if the defense struggles to get off the field against the Seahawks, the Cowboys, they have extra rest coming into the big rematch against the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm going to preview that in Big C's NFL previews tomorrow. I'm going to tell you early that the Cowboys will win. I think they won 12 in a row at home, looking for 13 in a row. And that game is going to be Sunday night in Dallas. And that crowd's going to be liquored up. They'll have 100,000 fans at AT&T Stadium because Jerry Jones will let in the extra crowd. And when you tell me the Cowboys barely lost in Philadelphia, they got revenge waiting on them. Those good old boys from Philadelphia, they're going to lose 2 straight. Dallas, I beg your pardon, they won 14 straight at AT&T Stadium. They're challenging for the NFC East crown and the conference's top seed. But the defense will have some work to do after the Seahawks showed how you can get up and down the field on those good old boys from Texas. But that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got number 3 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, I'm an eagle. That's not an eagle. You want a real eagle? Well, you're not going to get a real eagle on the Big C Sports Podcast. We'll have to do. Well, now, you know what time it is. They booed Santa Claus in Philadelphia back in the day. Well, when those good old boys from Dimdale Hills, California, came to town, they didn't need a chimney to slide down. They had a fistful of gold, the 49ers. So the Eagles' short-handed linebacker group, they were exposed in Sunday's blowout loss to the San Francisco 49ers, the boys from Dimdale Hills in California. Not only did Las Vegas have the 49ers a 3-point favorite, Big C said they win by 7 points. But they won by 23 points. The 49ers run game is legit. I mean, they were catching so many passes, I thought Jerry Rice was suited up. The tackling was also bad for Philadelphia. Deebo Samuel got his chest in the wind for 116 yards. Receiving, coming after the catch. It's been an issue for a few weeks for the Eagles. But they have a good team. They had some good stops against Dallas, Kansas City, and Buffalo. But the 49ers are different. They had a fistful of gold. And it's the real McCoy goal. And the 49ers, they punted twice in their first 2 possessions. They were trying to get the wrinkles out. And then they scored 6 straight touchdowns. It was a stunning sight. Such a big game at Lincoln Financial Field. Even the Eagles were allowed to lose one every now and then. But at the end of the game, you saw the crowd leaving. And you can't be blaming touchdown Jalen Hurts missing time because it was 28-13 game when he left and returned. It was 35-13 when he returned. I'm telling you, there's something about this Philadelphia Eagles team. They're starting to struggle a little bit. Oh, Big C, what are you talking about? Because I just told you they had a couple of close wins. They had to come from behind to beat Kansas City on the road. They struggled to beat Dallas at home. And they had to go to overtime to beat Buffalo. And they're still 10-2 after the 49ers came on there. When the 49ers came into the stadium, they said, throw in the towel! Throw in the towel! The 49ers were hitting them so hard, even a security guard got hit by Kenny, if that makes sense to him. Number 2 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. It's a bird! It's a plane! No, I'm Superman! That Superman known as Lamar Jackson. They're 9-3 after 12 straight weeks of playing football games, including a long trip across the pond to London, 2 separate West Coast trips, and consecutive primetime games. The Baltimore Ravens, they more than earned their rest during the Week 13 bye week. Even with a few slip-ups, they put themselves in a great spot to win the division and make a run at the AFC's top playoff seed. And others have helped. The Steelers and the Cleveland Browns, they both lost on Sunday. And then you look at the division. Cincinnati's jacked up because they don't have, in my opinion, touchdown Joe Burrow. I know Jake Browning's good, but he needs more time to get seasoned. And then making a path for a first down bye a lot easier for Baltimore. The good news, Baltimore controls its fate. The bad news, the schedule is very difficult. With games remaining against Jacksonville and Miami, and 2 teams also gunning for the top spot, there's also a possible Super Bowl preview December 25th The Baltimore Ravens at the San Francisco 49ers and Denver Hills. Merry Christmas, everybody. The NFL is even getting into Christmas games. That used to be left for the NBA. I'm still picking the San Francisco 49ers to play the Miami Dolphins in Super Bowl 58 down in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's a rematch of what happened when the 49ers played the Dolphins on the West Coast. It was Joe Montana and Dan Marino back in the day, if that makes sense to you. Roger Craig also had a great day, as well as Jerry Rice. That was on the farm at Stanford back in the day. Well, now they moved off the farm. All fan level work. So everybody has their opinion about who the best teams are in the NFL, and mine goes back to what I said before the season began. There's no place like home. Bang, bang, night again. Let's go to Deer Hills. I got number one in Big C's NFL power rankings. I got the San Francisco 49ers. Since week 7, the 49ers, they are at a top position. At least as far as the rankings go, as far as the NFC's top seed. And that remains to be a chase to the top of the hill, like the hills that Jerry Rice used to run down in the South Bay. Even after Sunday's beatdown of the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending NFC champions, did the 49ers catch the Eagles team that been put through the grinder lately? You can say yes. But that's what the playoffs are all about. It's like a playoff game. And the Niners are more than ready for the rematch. Don't call a comeback! They came back to Philadelphia and they showed how good they are. It's a weekly death match at times, like a red wedding they brought to Philadelphia. And second place is an extra week's vacation. Who wants to see those two teams meet again in the postseason? I do. Just about all of us. But I'd rather see the 49ers in Dallas again in Denver Hills in the playoffs. It feels like borderline is going to happen. If the 49ers carry a healthy offense into a rematch, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Brock Purdy's healthy, Jennings at wideout, you got to get those good boys rolling. They just find a way to win. They win no matter what. And George Kittle, that good boy, he knows how to get open over the middle. And then you look at that defense with Bosa on one side of the ball, and Young on the other side, Armstead at the middle, Fred Warner, the best middle linebacker in the NFL. Those good boys are like sunshine on a cloudy day. In fact, somebody sing about it. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. We want the real group. Well, okay, if you don't like Big C singing, that's your problem. But back to the game. If the 49ers are healthy, it might be too much for anyone to knock them off their path. They're destined for a Super Bowl. Touchdown Brock Purdy is up for MVP consideration. He's answered a lot of questions about, could he really help this team win? Of course he can. The 3-game losing streak, Deebo was out, Trent Williams was out, McCaffrey was banged up. But that's over in the past. Like the days of Bill Walsh. You got to look at what this Niner team can do. And I'm not a homer to the 49ers, even though I did get my start covering NFL football at the old Candlestick Park, which now has been turned down. They burned it. They didn't burn it down, but they tore it down. But when you think about the 49ers and what they have to offer, they're very well coached. And you got to understand it's about timing. In the NFC, the best team is San Francisco. I say followed by Dallas. And then Philadelphia. And if you want to add a third team, you can say the Detroit Lions. That's my story. At the same time, in the AFC, the best teams, right now I say the Baltimore Ravens. I'm also going to say the Miami Dolphins. And then I'm going to say the Kansas City Chiefs neck and neck. But the Dolphins have been ascending since they lost to the Chiefs across the pond. So Baltimore, Miami, Kansas City. Well, who's the fourth team in the AFC that can make some noise? You might say Jacksonville. Each one of those teams, the 49ers, have blown out. Last year when they played the Dolphins, they blew them out too. So it's about staying healthy in Denver Hills, California. That's why I want to give them praise. Praise, praise. That's Big C's NFL Power Rankings. It's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Everybody has their own story. I want to touch a little bit on some NBA basketball because I'm pushing for reparations. I'm asking the NFL with Roger Goodell, Commissioner Roger Goodell, in the NBA with Commissioner Adam Silver to join what President Abraham Lincoln started back in the day. And I'm championing this as well as being written up in the Associated Press, CBS News, NBC News. Reparations now, reparations forever. We gotta do that. The NFL is about 75% African American. The NBA is about 80% African American. I told you Congress has, between the Congress and the Senate, the House and the Senate, there's over 172 endorsements for H.R. 40, a reparations bill that was put together by Representative Sheila Jackson Lee out of Texas. Texas is the last state in the Union to announce that slavery was abolished. It was abolished in 1863. The good old boys down in Texas, they didn't get the news until 1865. And that's when Freedmen's Bank was created by Congress to hold money for black Americans. It had 50 white appointees as the trustees. And they stole the money! Well, it's time to give it back. In 1862 and 1863, United States Congress passed the Homestead Act. It gave over 276 million acres of land to white Americans and even white Europeans. If you were beautiful and black, they said no! Me like to strike! And we didn't even get the GI Bill when they came back from the war. It was black Americans that put their blood, sweat, and tears behind every war the United States ever had. We deserve reparations now, reparations forever. And I want people to think about that. No reparations, no vote. Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you have the skyhook right there in your hand. All you got to do is put it in the basket and sign it into law. The NBA has launched League Pass gifting the holiday season. Purchase a 12-month subscription to NBA League Pass for the NBA fans in time for Christmas. The holiday season is here, and for the first time, you can gift League Pass to a basketball fan that you love. The annual subscription gives users 12 months of out-of-market NBA games, live or in demand, with around-the-clock NBA TV coverage. Whether you have the League Pass or not, you're eligible to give League Pass 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you want to do that, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with it. But I got to tell you something that's more important than NBA League Pass. It's called reparations. And I'm so honored that Big C Sports was featured in NBC News March 30th, 2023, called California Reparations. Charlton Curry, March 30th, 2023, of Them There Hills, California, otherwise known as Them There Hills, California, who discusses reparations on his Big C Sports podcast. Give that some praise. And just like President Abraham Lincoln, I said cash payments are necessary. Money talks. And black Americans have served this country every single way we can. No one can dispute that. We deserve reparations. And I'm working with the California Reparations Task Force and making sure that happens. I'm also the chair, a co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project. And the focus is in helping create opportunities for descendants of chattel slavery. Give that some praise. Putting people back to work through real estate, insurance, and other avenues of income. Not everybody's going to get into the real estate and insurance business, but it's a way you can change your life really within a year's time. I know some people want to focus on being an athlete, but those very jobs are limited. You can work for the state if you want to. I just told you can call me 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624 if you're looking for work. But I'm going to close with this. You give that some praise. National Black Wall Street is real. It's called NationalBlackWallStreetProject.com. You can Google it, and Big C Sports is helping Black Wall Street, a global project. It's on a mission to elevate our community with a sense of righteousness and economic education for people of color with over 50 years of experience contributing toward community growth, are adept at amplifying economic recovery for international stability. And you can Google that if that makes sense to you. Get that praise. Well, as you know, I always say this on every show. If you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber, You can call Lyft, you can walk it off, you can sleep it off. But don't let some of your loves get behind the wheel of a car once they've been drinking. Don't let them drive. The life you save may be your own or someone you love. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And now you know what time it is as you stand up for the kickoff. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, he said, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. With all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali would say, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly get beat, because listening to Big C Sports makes me want to say reparations now, reparations forever. And that's why I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee, and I rumble, young man, rumble. My beautiful mother always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. If you know anybody going through that garbage, pick up the phone and call 911, because things change when the police show up. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And now, as you stand up for the kickoff, I always honor President Abraham Lincoln, and you should too. Because what did he tell Congress and President Joe Biden? He said, reparations now, reparations forever. Come on, you got to put your heart, mind, body, and soul into it. What did President Abraham Lincoln tell us to do? He said, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Come on, you got to say it like your team just won the game. What did President Abraham Lincoln tell you to do, Congress? He says, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.